Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Selves podcast. Today we have Ana Cristina and Kenna. Today is Monday. We're coming back from the Rooted in Respect event, which we all attended, and I think we can start from there. And then also you can each introduce yourselves.
Perfect. Yes, okay. Hi, I'm Kenna New. I own I Fuego Dance Company, and I founded the Rooted in Respect event that we had this weekend, which was really awesome. I think a lot of great conversations came up. I think we were able to hear a lot from different people in the community, but also we had like our panelists, which they were also a part of, which I thought was really interesting to just hear some different perspectives and some different insights on just some different things that are happening in the dance community. So it was really cool. It was a great event, honestly.
Yeah. I was happy. It actually was really good to see the whole, get a feel and be there. And I think it's like the first of many. I feel like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, no, I wanted to be the first of many for sure. Yeah, I think it was a very powerful event, and I think it's a good step in the right direction for our community to talk about these things. So yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Yes, very nice. Yes, so my name is Ana Cristina Ramirez. I go by AC as well, and I'm the founder of El Flow Dance Studio, where we at.
Yes, where we're at. Yeah, by the way, we're at El Flow Dance Studio, guys. So it's a really beautiful spot. We're gonna show some B-roll of it, so you guys can get to know it. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, very good. And we just did the Rooted in Respect event. I was one of the panelists. And it was really awesome to see people in our community coming out and learning self-defense and talking about a lot of issues. Starting to talk about issues and be in community, I think, is a really good first step. And I'm so proud of Kenna for doing it. She did such a great job. We love Kenna.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Yeah.
It was a good time.
Okay. So the topics were. Well, first off, what's the main thing that that you left still in mind or that you took from it? And then I think we could segue into kind of just what the topic of the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like there was a lot of great, points made yesterday, and I feel like I definitely was educated on some stuff as well that I was or different perspectives that I just hadn't maybe put myself in. But I do think that one of the main takeaways I had was just the absolute need for, what's the word I'm looking for? The absolute need for more structure in our dance community. More structure in the sense of we need to have a community, right? And have structure in the sense that instructors need to be trained, dancers need to know there has to be codes of conduct, there has to be these conversations happening, we need to start normalizing, I think, more respect, more communication, and that type of structure, right? Just building a structure, because right now we don't have one. And I think that from hearing from a lot of the individuals, a lot of people are kind of just there's a lot of moments that you're just well, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's comfortable. And I think we need to just start normalizing these conversations so that we can, structure and people can start to just be educated in those things too. I would say that was one of my biggest takeaways. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's really good. I think for sure for me, it made me feel like I wanted to talk to people more. I always feel like one of the biggest solutions is for everybody to talk to each other more. But it's just really cool to show up in a space when we're not necessarily dancing and being able to be in community and bring things up that maybe we wouldn't have known about each other. So I'm really excited to hear more from the community. I think that was one of my favorite parts, definitely, was being able to interact with everyone around, whether they're a leader or if there was someone from just the dance scene.
Yeah, I think, for me it was, first off, this is kind of I'm happy to have reached out to you, to both of you girls, because I think that I felt like I was at the, in my head, I was I'm at the cutting edge of where the community needs to go. I think for me, I look at the content that's being generated on social media, and a lot of times it just feels very repetitive. And then maybe you get a sense of kind of like meme culture. Now we got some memes that up in here, but I think it's just the very beginning. I think it's very immature. It's very lacking that structure for sure. And to be in a place where we're having these conversations and we're actually able to bring that together in group, in community, I think it gives me a sense of, and then also to be able to put it online. I think that is also a big part. Because now it's like, okay, we have that up, now let's go to the next conversation. We can build from there. And I think, especially now, the nature of social media doesn't really add to the evolution of the social dancing community, at least in a way that's, impactful. I think right now, even, mainly what a lot of instructors do is, the social dancing videos. And then, now, maybe 2 years ago, we saw the beginning of people actually talking on camera and while they're teaching. But I think that's just the beginning. So I think, I feel like being there yesterday, seeing us capture, I saw Yoli, with the camera.
Yeah, she was capturing really good moments.
Yeah, and I was like, that's perfect, and so that's what's needed. That is what's needed. So now it's a hybrid approach of in community locally, but also globally, capturing those moments. And I think that is how we further the conversation. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's like, I'm really passionate about this, but I like, not everything has to be about money. And so I think this was such a good example of like, it's a free event. It was like, we're coming together, and then like when it comes to social media and stuff, right? It's like, not everything has to be about money. Like, not every ad has to be about like, how are we gonna turn around the best? Like, it's so like robotic, So we are seeing a lot of that shift, right? Like the old ways of social media being just all about like trying to get all the money out of people, and being really salesy versus like just honest marketing, and people are just craving like more honesty and authenticity and stuff too. So I think that the event was a good example of that. It's authentic, it's free, it's like there's no intention besides wanting to come together. And people need to remember that, like we shouldn't be driven by like, oh, I'm not gonna go because I'm not gonna get paid, or it's not for me because it's a waste of my time, and time is money. It's like, we can nurture other things besides money, please.
Yeah. Just for if you could just explain what the Root and Respect was real quick, just give a little quick, the intention, and then how and what it was, and then maybe plans for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Rooted in Respect is an event that basically was just born out of necessity, if I'm being completely honest with you. I've personally gone through a lot of different things in the dance community. I've personally seen and heard or seen firsthand a lot of just different issues happening in the community, and I think with everything that has stirred up on social media that we've been seeing, like stories come out, and here in our San Diego dance community, like there's just so many dancers that like, it's that going back to that same thing of like, people don't know what to do in certain situations. People don't know what's comfortable, what's normal, what's not normal, right? So, I just wanted to create an event where, one, we could empower all dancers, empower dancers really to, like we had self-defense, empower dancers to be able to defend themselves, because I do think it's important that you know those things. And unfortunately, yes, a lot more things happen to females and the queer community, so that's why we did keep the self-defense class to feminine identifying people. But then we had the panel, right, open to all dancers, where it really was just to bring together the community, to have these conversations, because there's a lot of hard conversations about accountability, about safety, about respect, about boundaries, and what all of that looks like within a dance community. So I thought it was just really important to bring people together, different panelists that have different backgrounds. Some were leaders in the dance community, some just had different like backgrounds in military, like victim advocacy and all of that stuff, because I think that the most important thing and the best thing that we can do for our community is become educated. I think as dancers, as leaders, instructors, event promoters, I think being educated is where we can stop a lot of these issues. So that's like the basis of the event, to empower dancers, to create a safe space so that these conversations can happen. And the goal for the future is essentially to just have more and more of these conversations. I think that they need to be happening a lot more. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is just providing space and hoping that the community shows up, not for us, but for themselves. Like if you're in a community, like, yes, you are showing up for the others in the community, but you should also be showing up for yourself and like respecting your boundaries and your needs and your wants, you know, because it's all, every voice matters in the community, basically. So just giving space to that and empowering people to speak up too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very much in why I reached out, and then it just happened that was happening.
Yeah,
That's
great timing.
You know?
Yeah.
So going into that, I think something that we brought up, and then I think we can begin the conversation around the shifts that you're seeing. So for me, I mean, I've been social dancing for 5 years, and you know, I've been, and so seeing the old ways versus the new ways, and seeing that shift, bringing it in. I think it's really interesting to see that there's still that old way of doing things, and it can be in different things. It can be in the marketing, right, which you mentioned, and it could be in the teaching. It could be in the leading. It can be in the business aspect, and then now we see a newer wave coming in. And I think the main thing for me is like a lot of the you know, well-known people in the social dancing community are a lot older. Yeah. And I think that for me, I want to get like younger perspectives, just because, you know, I think this is where the change is happening. Mm-hmm. So if you can just give, you know, what's like your first thoughts on that, you know, old ways versus new ways. What do you see? What have you experienced, and what do you see coming?
Yeah, I think like the in terms of teachers, I really feel like people can still stay relevant if they change with the times too, and adapt and continue like educating yourself on how to be a better teacher. Mm-hmm. But I definitely do see like that shift of like maybe older teachers, or people considered masters even, or people that have been around for a long time. It's like they keep doing the same thing. So I feel like that's what comes to mind a lot too, and people are looking for something more refreshing and different, and I think they can still exist and coincide maybe, but and maybe they'll still, you know, there's so many people in the world, and people will still give business to those types of people just because maybe that's how they like it. Yeah. And now, but then we do see this split of people that like they don't want that anymore, and they're like, like I want to try something new. So maybe they bounce around in different places and stuff, and so I feel like that's what we see in San Diego a lot. People bounce around, you know, different teachers and stuff too, and it almost seems like we don't know like what we want as a community yet, or like what's solidified, or like where things are, like where the hot spot is. You know, everything just seems very like, I don't know right now, right? Yeah. It's so I see that a lot in that, and definitely in marketing as well, right? So yeah, there'll still be some people that will fall for the flyer with the sexy girl in the front, you know, like I'm like Latin nights.
The video of the mini shorts wearing nothing, like
yes, or the thirst trap, like,
and it's like
marketing.
Salsa class. I'm like,
what type
of salsa are we learning today?
Right. So yeah. I think that still works on a lot of people, maybe a specific type of person. Yeah. That's something else that's really telling, right? It's like, what kind of person are you going to attract with that kind of marketing? You know, and so there is still that scene going on and stuff. But I think more people are more outspoken now. People want to, like, they don't want to take it anymore. They're like, nah, like, you know, it's $15 for a social. Like, I'm not gonna go to your 25 socials of the same thing over and over with the same people and the same things. You know, it's like it can only get so exciting, and so it's like we need to keep originality. You know, like we need more originality, more creativity. We just need to do better, you know, as the leaders. So
yeah, no, honestly, I would agree with that too. I think that like going into that, people like we're seeing a lot more now too, like authenticity, right? People really value authenticity, and like also if you're not being authentic, like what are you doing? Like what are you doing? You know, why are you pretending to be somebody you're not, or do something that like you shouldn't be? Like I do think authenticity is really, I'm seeing it a lot more too, like the value behind it and how people I feel like are craving that a lot more, in everything, right? In the way that you teach, in the way that you dance, in you know, just every aspect, marketing. But yeah, I do, you know, I think that there will always be people that will continue working, you know, like in the old ways, like they won't evolve with the times. But like I do think it's so important to just like continue stating and showcasing that, like, look how dance has evolved, right? Like, whoa. Just think of literally any style of dance, right? How it's evolved. It's so amazing. But like, you have to evolve with it. And if you're not evolving with it, and not only with dance, like with social media, we have to evolve when we are doing marketing and we are business owners. You know, as teachers, we have to evolve, because you can always become a better teacher. There's always so many things that you can learn. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of differences, and I do see a lot of these more authentic, more creative, original, you know, ideas, and people like, you know, kind of saying like, no more, like we're gonna be authentic, we're gonna really, really create and be original, and with our marketing and everything that we're doing. But I do still see a lot of the old ways, unfortunately. Like, especially in marketing, I do have to say, that's one that gets me a lot too. And I have a lot of people like tell me like, well, why do you talk about like sexy marketing when you're doing floor work in your performances? And I'm like, well, it's also like when we're dancing, we're not dancing for other people, we're dancing for ourselves. The marketing with putting like the butts on like right there, what is the reason behind that, you know? So I do think, yeah, there's still a lot of things that I think we can change, and if people would just evolve with the times, like again, we can just be doing better. There's these small little changes that we can make, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about that. I mean, I think a really cool example, well, I know, Christina, like you mentioned when we talked, when we met, was that you marketed your studio release the way that you thought was right, you know? And I think that, and then me being on the receiving end, like so for example, just for context, so my wife is on Kenna's team, so I'm always hearing like all the things that you guys are doing, and then also I just recently came to one of the episode socials, and I was like, okay, you know, I'll say that you do feel the difference, you do feel like the difference in like intention, and I think that every person I think at the end of the day, every person gives something that is different and unique, and when you're able to hone in on that, then you know that's where you're able to kind of, that's where the marketing comes in, you know, when you know how to best communicate what it is you do, and do it truly. I think that's where you attract your tribe, right? I think that's the main thing. And so one thing that I do see is that, like you mentioned, like the evolution of dance right now, it's even like, it used to be salsa and bachata, now it feels like it's like different types of salsa and different types of bachata. At least that was for me, you know. I know that the expert would most likely say, well, it's always been differentiated. But now it feels like now we have our especially here in San Diego, a few years ago, it was all sensual. Now we got more traditional. I know you're bringing that in here too. Yeah. So it's gonna keep splitting off, I feel like, and with that being there, I think that's just because of the demand, and also because people are enjoying the different tastes, right? Yeah. And so that's how I see also just like the marketing, you know, like I think that people don't have to try to do what works. It's about what feels right. What feels right. Yeah, and then you will attract your tribe. I think that's been my main thing. But I know you ladies have your own experience, so I want to see how's it been for you? You know, like I know you've had your experience, you know, growing and figuring itself out, and then creating something of your own. So, and I think both of you ladies are doing it in a way that's unique and true to yourself. So, how has that been, and how's that journey been? I feel like.
I think like something good to point out with marketing is like if your product is good, your marketing shouldn't be that hard, you know. Versus I think people that like create a facade of marketing, marketing. If you're marketing for parking, but if you're marketing something like and you have to fake something in your advertisement, like you're trying to manipulate and distract, right? Versus if you're just showcasing like just what is it, what's honest, what is it, you know, like what's the product, what is it, like straightforward, right? And so. Yeah, definitely. I noticed a lot of things, especially like opening the studio, in terms of styles and stuff, right? Subgenres, I would say, like in dance, there's so many of them, and you know, to be honest, like I feel like the more we label things like and create little niches out of them, like sometimes the more separated that we are, and people like want to stick to their own little niche and like not appreciate someone else's, you know, and so people are starting to get a little bit more like in little tribes of like, well, I like, you know, more slow bachata, so I can do more figures for bachata sensual. Or I like more salsa cubana, you know, I want more timba. Or no, I want more mambos, I want more romanticas, you know. So I do think that there are those people that will like be like, I need this in particular. And I think sometimes that makes our scene like really divided, and also like spoiled. It's like, no, we're not gonna cater, like every event can't be like, this is specifically a mambo night, this is specifically traditional night, this is specifically sensual night, whatever the heck that means.
Just play
like,
everything.
I like a combination. I myself am a hybrid dancer, and I dance like anything that I could really do, like I will learn it, like anything under the sun, any partner dance, I love all of them. And I think for me it comes down to the music of like what music that I like, and that's my preferences, but I do dance everything. I'm not a purist, as some people might think. Like I do train and dance in many things, and I think we're stronger if we appreciate other things too. And the more knowledgeable you are of other styles, like that's how you get influenced in your own styles that you like. That's how you can progress. And I do notice that people over time too kind of come back to roots a lot. I do notice that people when they start dancing. However they came into the dance scene, whatever the gateway was, like it could have been bachata remixes, that was like the only thing that they got in. Like after a while, people do make their way back down to like, oh, actually I do like traditional, you know. I think people just need to give it a little bit of time, and then over time, or even it happens in salsa all the time, oh, I want to learn Afro now that I've gone through and learned mambo and learned, you know, LA style, learned salsa cubana. I'm like, now I want to learn a little more about the roots of the actual dance, you know. So yeah, there's lots of things, you know. But it would be cool if we were just more appreciative of art in general, if people are just more like open and grateful, you know, for each other rather than I want to be on my own island, you know. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. I think that, I think everybody can like the different styles, right? Yeah. Like I'm the same thing. I am a hybrid dancer. I literally dance everything and anything. But yeah, I think we just have to respect like all the different styles a little bit more too. But I like how, especially like seeing AC open like your studio as well. Like it's been really cool to see like all the different styles come together too. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, you can't dance this here, you shouldn't dance this here. Like I truly have been to other places where I felt like, oh, I shouldn't dance this here, or oh, I don't know, is my style going to be accepted? Right? So it is really cool, like to have seen like you open your studio and everything and allow like another like safe space. I think that was much needed for the community with you opening it. So yeah, that's been like just really nice. And I feel like having more spaces like that, like inclusive spaces like to the styles, is definitely needed as well. And that's what she did opening this studio. Yeah, no, really good, yeah.
No, yeah, I think, well, something I'll add too, because I've been dancing here in San Diego for, I don't know, I think like a year. I'm not going out too much, but, you know, I've probably danced with every company, like in the socials. And one thing that I did notice is that that I did get tired, and something that you mentioned, AC, was like the same thing, like the repetitiveness. I think there's a lot of opportunity that, and I think there is a craving and need for like a creative event organization. You know, I think it's not just a matter of throwing up like an event and hosting it. I think that there is a sense of like like needing to provide a space and bringing some life into it. Because I think at one point there was a few socials where I was just like, now we're playing some covers, and this definitely is much more geared. And I don't think there's anything bad with it. I think it's cool to label it, and then that way people are aware. I think there was a point where I was going to some bigger socials, and they're very like there's having like covers, and it felt very like, I guess, whitewashed, Americanized. And I was like, I know that when I was a beginner, I probably wouldn't have cared because I knew like rap and hip hop, and I knew, and that was familiar. So I think that's still needed, but I think at the same time, there is that need, and the main point I want to make is that there's a lot of opportunity for people to bring something fresh into the space, and I think oftentimes that's just what people need. That's what people want. I mean, here in San Diego, I think we're blessed to have such a big community. Like, there's hundreds
there's a
of people
lot.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely yes on the everything feels the same, and the listening to covers. I think that ties also into the authenticity part, right? It's like maybe it works on some people. People like just want to hear whatever and they just want to dance. Like I question those people's intentions though. I'm like, y'all really hearing these songs like back to back and you're happy? Like you're, I don't know. I'm not trying to be like that or anything, but it's like I don't know. It just becomes so inauthentic, and yeah, it feels like it's called cultural appropriation. It's the word I was thinking. It feels like cultural appropriation because it's a dance style like salsa and bachata is like a pretty cultural dance, you know. And I think you know, the whitewashing of it makes it more marketable, so that again, money, whitewashing goes back to all of that, right? And I just think we should be allowed to like have socials for fun and like to create without feeling like we have to pay the bar minimum, you know, we have to like make money off of this, you know, we have to underpay this instructor so that we can make money, you know. It's like those intentions, like they trickle down to the consumer, I feel. And I would say I'm more on the sensitive side to those things. Like the second I feel people's energy and I feel like, and I see things, like I feel a type of way about them, you know. I really just gravitate towards just wanting to dance. Like I consider myself a dance nerd. Like I nerd out on dance things all the time. Like you can ask anybody, you can come to my class and see how nerdy I am, but I'm a complete dance nerd, and I just want to be dance nerds with other people, and I just want to have fun and be wholesome, and I feel like I want to, you know, play around like a little kid. Like that's what dance is for me, is like that escape and that feeling. And I feel like I can't feel like that if I feel like the intentions, like they're playing this music because they're trying to appeal to a certain crowd. I'm like, they're not trying to appeal to the dancers, that's for sure. They're trying to appeal for the people that have money that will spend at the bar. Like that's what the socials start becoming. And so that authenticity and that good feelings kind of starts going away unless you really try to create it in your own little corner or something. But again, I don't know. I just want the whole room to feel like wholesome and happy. And I had a really good moment at like the grand opening. We had hired a band to come in. Sonavana, they're amazing. They're up in LA, they're all Cuban. And I just remember there was this one point in the night where everyone was dancing on the floor. There was like hundreds of people here. I was sweating my ass off. I wasn't even dancing, I was just enjoying the band. And like, I think Sonavana made everyone like put their hands up, or not even made them. They were just like, ah, like mano para arriba, blah, blah. And everyone stopped dancing. Like they were social dancing. They stopped dancing and they all just started doing this, and not a phone in sight. I was like, not a phone. For a second, I was like, I should record this. I was like, no. Don't record it. I'm like, it's so cute. I almost cried. I was like crying every 5 seconds that night. But it was just so sweet. Like everyone was having such a good time listening to the live music, enjoying, you know, like no phones. It just felt like wholesome. And that feeling, like it's just, I just want to make that feeling all the time, you know, at the studio. So that's one of my biggest, like, what's it called, motivations for this, right?
No, it's
The
so cute.
wholesomes.
The wholesomeness.
We nerd
yes.
out. We nerd out all the time. At the socials, we're like,
Yes.
this song, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think like going back to like how everything just feels so repetitive, right? Like same thing. I go to every single social. I used to, not anymore. I protect my energy now, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I have been to like all the socials in San Diego. I really love social dancing. It's one of my favorite things. But yeah, the music feels repetitive. The moves feel repetitive. This is like one of my biggest things is I'm like, you know, we can all learn so many moves and then we can do them in so many different ways. You know how many ways you can just do something with your head? Like if you think about it, you know, like there's so many different things you can do. And like that's my thing too, is just everything just feels the same. And I think it goes back to also like being authentic, being creative, being original. Like we need to be creatives. We need to be original. We need to be able to have safe spaces that allow us to also create and do that as well. Because a lot of times, and I know you made a post about this too, that I literally was like, yes. But a lot of times, is it like, are we social dancing or are we performing? And it doesn't just, that I think that doesn't just go with just social dancing, right? It's like the same thing with like marketing. Like, are you like, why are you being so performative in what you're doing when you can just be authentic? And I promise you, you will get a better result if I like, you know. So yeah, it's just the repetitiveness is it's a lot. It's a lot. I do have to say, yeah, it's. Yeah, that's a lot. That's the word. No words.
Yeah.
No words.
No, I mean, I think it's cool. So I'm gonna, yeah. So in terms of, oh, there's two questions, and then we'll hit the first one, and I'll try to remember to go to the next one. I think. So well, for you girls, I don't know. Have you had like a transition or an aha moment where you've been like, oh, I just want to do it this way, and I think this way works, and I love it. Has it been more of a gradual like, I'm just looking to bring more authenticity in the way that I do it? Like, how has it been for you? Has it been like an aha moment of authenticity works? This is the way I want to do it. The other ways don't work, or has it been just gradual? Like, oh, I'm just struggling to figure out how I'm gonna be authentic, Or has it always just been easy for you? Like, have you always just been, I'm just gonna be me for real, and then I'm not gonna care about what people think?
Right. That's a great question. Yeah, I think for me, I started dancing when I was really young. I started dancing when I was 12, going on 13. And I started dancing in Mexico, actually. So I danced with very different people, but and a very different community. But when I moved here to San Diego, I was like immediately with Alma Latina, which was one of the biggest companies. And so I feel like for me, I definitely started off, there was a lot of pressure in the company as well. And I definitely started off, I think, not being very authentic. Like, I feel like I'm a type of person where I have always been myself. I'm very, very true to myself. I like exactly who I show you is who I am. Anybody that like watches my Instagram stories is like, oh, you literally act the same way. I'm like, yeah, I do. So I feel like I've been very authentic in that sense. But I do have to say, I feel like I just reached a point, and it wasn't like, more when like I opened my own company, I reached a point where I was just kind of fed up, if I'm being completely honest with you. I feel like I just got fed up because I also felt like I was like trying to be somebody I'm not, but because everybody around me was, and I was like, is this like normal? Like, are we all just trying, like, that's how it felt. I was kind of like, well, shit, I don't know. Are we all just like putting on an act out here? I guess that's what we have to do because we're artists. Like, oh, I'm just, I remember, I can't remember who exactly said it, but somebody was like, well, yeah, like, as artists, we're just glorified clowns. And I was like, that is a horrible way to put it. That's horrible, because we're not. Like, we're human beings. And that's when there was just a lot of moments that I remember just being like, no. And when I like went to go open my own company, I was like, I want my company to be exactly who I am, what I resemble, like what I want to bring to the community. And I think I'm grateful that I have a lot of people that have been by my side, but I think it really does, like, my company resemble like all of my values, very authentic to who I am. But yeah, I just got fed up. And I think just, my company is primarily like female based. I don't have any partner work right now, but I do, work with males and leaders. But I think also just seeing like people come together and truly also like be authentic in themselves. Like when I started my first team, like I was just like, I've directed lots of teams, and I think to see the students be so authentic within themselves and how they are with each other, I think that also, I was like, dang, like we all just need to like act like this. And why can't, like kind of going back on what AC said, like it's such a safe space for all of us. It's such a therapeutic art form for all of us. Like everyone has a reason. We all have a why to why we're dancing and why we're doing this. And so I think that, yeah, like just staying authentic to that why, staying authentic to yourself. Like I was just kind of like at a point where I was like, why am I not? Like, this is weird. And honestly, I truly feel like I have attracted the correct people, the correct opportunities. I also have pushed away the wrong people, not into they've just left my world. And I truly think that when you are true to yourself and true to your art form, you really do attract the right, your tribe, right? You attract your tribe, but also just the energies around you. I'm so blessed. There's so much good in this community, and I am truly blessed to see, and be a part of a lot of the good in the community and what it can bring you to. So, yeah, yeah.
I like it. Yeah, I think, with the authenticity, I grew up with both my parents are Cuban immigrants, and I grew up in San Diego, really close to the border. I was raised by someone that's from Oaxaca, so from a very young age, my dad also collected a lot of music. So from a very young age, I was just fed salsa for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or Cuban music, or just whatever was on. My dad just loved music. He calls himself DJ Cuban Cali.
I love that.
I can't with him. Find him on Instagram.
Oh my God, I love.
Find him walking around the studio sometimes, being like, hey. But yeah, so that was just, salsa was just always part of my life. So I felt like authenticity-wise, I always carried that with me, because I'm like, this is my life. I feel like for Cuban people, salsa can be breathing for us. It's it's just everything, right? You listen to it when you're sad, happy, celebrating, gone through a breakup, lost your job, so it's just it's part of life. And so when I first found the scene, I didn't even know that this was a thing. I didn't know that salsa and bachata was a thing that you can go to China and dance salsa and bachata. I just didn't know. And so in college, I had a friend, non-Hispanic, she was white, take me to SDSU Salsa Club. And that's where I started learning that it was a community, and there's a structure to it and stuff. And so I started learning there and then, and I just knew in my heart, I will remember that day and that feeling so well. And I felt like it was so right. I was I have to learn everything about this. When you find something you really like I have to know this frontwards and backwards and everything, right? So I got so into it, and I think that authenticity always lived with me for sure. And then, I learned bachata. This is the first time I ever even learned the dance. I thought bachata was just a music genre or something. I don't even know what I thought about it at the time. But I started learning all the styles. Sensual at the time was really booming. It was 2014. So I learned sensual. I learned traditional at the same time, and urban, because the LA influences and stuff. And at the end of the day, I always found myself gravitating more towards grooves and things that embody that. So in salsa, I always liked stuff that is a little bit more oomph, here, I kind of strayed away from the elegant ballroom type salsa. I noticed that I liked a lot more of the gritty stuff. I liked a little bit more personality and edginess to it. And then same with bachata, I was I really liked sensual. And a lot of people don't know this, but I trained in sensual for a while, and I loved it. And I'd go to all the festivals, and I listened to all the remixes. So there's some good remixes out there, I will say. I can't bash on them, And I was really into EDM too, so I was just like, like they're gonna play like this EDM song with bachata. Okay, I was like going to also raves at the time, so it was like interlacing at that moment. But I always found myself gravitating towards bachata and salsa, just more grounded dances, more Afro. I started learning more Afro dances. I took this one class at Houston Salsa Congress like in 2016, and it was like Afro house. Yeah, it was Afro house, and I was like, I loved it. I was just like, oh my, this is what I liked. I started training kizomba, and when I was living in Arizona, and yeah, all those things like really, really sparked me. So I feel like I just always gravitate like towards those authentic styles and the people that I really like to watch dance. I just like when things look honest, and I was like saying this, I was hashtagging this in some of my videos every now and then, but I put bachata sincera, like being sincere. Like I want your dancing to look sincere, and that's the kind of stuff that I like the most and I always look for. And so that's what inspires me the most. And sometimes you can see it in people dancing that like aren't even trained dancers. You're like, that person looks like they're honest when they dance, or I believe them when they dance, like I believe what they're doing, versus I'm like, that looks like they're just mimicking something, or they're just trying to look aesthetic, up in here.
Doing the same.
Right, instead of like, what are you doing with your body? What are you doing from here, And I feel like I can really tell. And that's just like, it's always been here. I've always tried to like gravitate my style towards like authentic, sincere dancing.
Yeah, I think that's that's awesome that you can that's a thing that it's something that can be sensed. I think that and I think that goes across different because you talked about dance, and then kind of talked about her experience with just being like in the umbrella of an artist. I think we all have that sense of like what is real, what is something that's what is mimicked and what is real. And I think there it's not even something that I've learned is that it's not even the move itself, it's what's the essence of the move, which is you, right? It's like you give life to the move.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we all learn the same moves, right? And that's not the problem. Like this having the same, skeleton is not the problem. It's what you do with it, right? Like again, it's like, well, how can I take the diagonal basic, the Madrid set that we do, right? And how can I take that and make it my own style? How can I like jazz it up a little bit? Yeah, and I think that's a lot is what's missing, but I do truly feel like that it ties back into like authenticity, because if you don't even know who you are yourself and what you like and like your style and feeling that, and it doesn't even have to be like because you've danced a long time, not that, but just like showing up yourself and being like, okay, like I don't have to look exactly like my instructor or exactly like the person I saw in the video. I can gain inspiration from stuff, but staying true to myself too. Which I think it's just more important too, because I do feel like it's a lot of the same. It's like just that repetitiveness.
Yeah, and I'll add also that I think it's I think like teachers instill in their students that capacity to want to explore.
100%. Yeah.
I think well, for me what defines like a good dancer and it's just their ability to just be one with the song, and it's like allowing the song to dress you, allowing the song
to guide you.
Because that's the only way we'll be able to have something new every single time.
Exactly.
And so I think I learned that. I think that comes from the culture. I think because I grew up in Mexico, and over there it's like it was in a village. There was no structured dance per se. It's just everybody just moves. But the biggest thing that they would say is like, don't be stiff. Don't be just be. And sometimes it was like the most fun thing was just how expressive you were, right? And who was most willing to explore. Yes. And I think if we're able to carry that on through into a structured form like a class, and you're really evolving the individual at that point, because now it's like, all right, there's a ring structure, but then we also have that little chaos, and now this is how we evolve, and then and I like to think of dance also as a language. So like the moves are the words, you know, and so, you know, we all have our vocabulary, we all have the same, we're all speaking English, but we're all being heard differently, you know,
Exactly.
we're all being interpreted differently.
Interpreted different, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really important. But what I wanted to say with the teachers, like I think it's cool to think about how every teacher can instill something within their student, and also, but to be also wary and be wary of who you're learning from, and whether what they're teaching is in alignment with, you know, that, you know, are they pushing you to explore? Are they pushing you to become like automatons, like robots, where you just make sure that you have this move and just drilling, and so that, because at that point, I know, I mean, I had experiences where I'm like, are we drilling for the sake of for something, or am I here wanting to dance, like learning to dance, and so, I think there's a balance in both those worlds, but yeah, that's something that needs to be addressed. So, what do you what do you feel about that?
To address it. Yeah, I think like one of my favorite things to, like, as a student, like when I see a teacher really getting into something, and like you know that moment when like a teacher kind of like, they like not yell at you, they're like, come on, go, do
like,
this,
yeah,
like this is like blah, you know, like they kind of yell out some emotion of like, because sometimes maybe the teacher knows the song and the student doesn't know the song they're learning also, and they just point something out to you, be like, oh, you hear this right here, like that's like, go crazy right there. Or hear this right here. Oh, don't go crazy right there. Be like, okay, you know, like it's they're giving you guidelines, but then you fill in, and what I call it like is like you color in the, like the teacher gives you the lines and then you color it in. But there has to be encouragement. You know, you have to give the students the different Crayola colors, you know, like so that they could choose which ones they want to color. Like not one person will color the same way as someone else, but we are all doing the same, you know, outline, right? So. I really like to think of it that way. And then as a teacher myself, like my personal strength, and this is just like who I am as a person, is of like I'm a music lover. Like I love music. And it drives me to tears. You know, I know it kind of feels the same way. Like we just love music. Like you just
feel it in our soul.
Yeah, you feel it, and I don't know, and I don't have a problem like going in front of my class, and I have beautiful students. Like I'm grateful for them to accept me for who I am. But I'll be a freaking fool in front of my students. I'm like, do this, do that, like do this, like just try different things, or like let me see how many different ways you can tap. Like what do you have, you know, like. And so I think those moments really help people break out of their shell, and if they see you being weird and authentic, and like I'm just showing them who I am, of like, I love this music. I'm like, ooh, qué rico. You know, like you get excited about that. So I think I like to think of that as bringing the authentic. And then you can really tell in a teacher, like what their intention of their class is, you know, like listening to someone is like, oh, they're really passionate about this. It's really exciting to see someone passionate about a topic versus, oh, like they're just, you know, doing a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, it's like,
And
just like a
then-
monotone, and then.
And on the next slide over here.
Yeah. I feel like, it's like as teachers, we do have a responsibility that I feel like is many times not talked about, and a lot of people sometimes just like either get thrown into a teaching position or just become teachers because they feel like they're at that level, which again, it's subjective, right? But I do think that like teaching goes beyond your dancing skills. I always say you can be a bomb-ass dancer, you could be the best dancer ever, be the worst teacher. You could be the best teacher ever, not the best dancer, but you could be a really great teacher, right? And maybe you really understand how to explain things and break down things, even though you're not like winning all these competitions and stuff, right? Which most of us are not. But I think that as teachers, we do have this responsibility to provide like this structure and provide space for our students to dive into their authenticity, to dive into their creativity. A lot of the time students don't like really know what they're 100% coming into a class for, and it is part of your responsibility to help guide them and be like, this is what we're going to go over today. And like, I do think like it's important, like with my girls, we just had a social dancing class, and like, again, just a ladies team, but we're social dancing. Everybody's leading, everybody's following, because I wanted to show them as followers too, like where you can take up space, right? And because I feel like as an instructor of purely ladies right now, just ladies, a lot of my girls social dance, they're everywhere as well, right? I wanted to show them like how important it is as a follow to not lose your voice, how you can like express yourself here. I also wanted to show them as a leader, where can you put your own style in? As a leader, where can you open up space for both of you to play? And I think straying away from pattern, repeat the pattern. Maybe we can teach a pattern and then say, okay, now you have 3 different moves. Do it in tons of different ways, right? Surprise your followers, surprise the dance. So I do think as instructors, there's lots of things that we can be doing to help facilitate that. And I think also like AC was saying too, like showing up authentically in our teaching and showing our students like we can be funny and we can look weird and get into these like uncomfortable positions to explore things. Like my classes are I'm always like cracking jokes, and we're always doing like, weird movements and discovering new different things. Like I'm always hyping everybody up, and I think that, yeah, it's super important just, as instructors, as leaders in the community, like it's our responsibility to really set, not like, I don't want to say standards, but I guess like the standards, the structure for lack of better words, right? So yeah.
Yeah, something I'm getting at this is also even, and I think this will be good, because I'm thinking about how you go to a lot of congresses, a lot of times, it's the same structure. I feel like usually it's like 80% the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we can start talking more about, and also now, even the way you said it, it's like, instead of learning a pattern, let's learn like a few moves, and then see how can we connect those, and how can we bridge that gap between like the class and the social dance form. I think that's something that's very much needed. So in terms of what you would like, I mean, you kind of already mentioned it, but what are some things that you'd like to see more of in terms of the culture and the educational culture in the community? Yeah, like, like what's the structure that you've seen, maybe versus now, what people need, or what you.
Yeah. I feel like for me, the biggest thing that comes up is, and what I've heard a lot, and I kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning, like there needs to be training for teachers. Like there has to be. I don't understand why there's not. If you look at every single other sport, training for teachers. And there's multiple different trainings, obviously there's like safety training, and we should, like even be like CPR trained, like, if we're really like going about it that way. But also I think like education and training for teachers, like again, going into dance is an evolving thing. Teachers have to learn. There's new techniques that come out. There's different things. There's different ways that we're stepping now, that like I got taught how to step completely different than how I step to this day, and what I have learned from just different teachers, different instructors, right? I think, yeah, that's the biggest thing for me, is creating like teacher training in multiple different levels, right? I think there's, the whole safety side of training, and then for teachers, but also what it means to be a teacher, skills that you can develop. I feel like that's like the biggest thing that comes up for me with that, for education wise. I think also like if we're talking just about education for like the community, I think like that's also like one of the reasons why I wanted to do like Rooted in Respect too, because I think like having conversations like this, and maybe being able to bring in like, I don't know, like a psychologist that's specialized in something that the community is dealing with, like to be able to educate ourselves and have these conversations, or host workshops about social dancing etiquette, for example, maybe because there's a lot of people that don't know. I did try to host a workshop once about that, and like 2 people showed up.
The people that have to be there are
the
never
people that have
there.
to be there are never there. But yeah.
That's actually a really we can touch.
Yeah.
We can touch on having the conversations, but the people that should
Need to be there are not there.
They're
Yeah.
not gonna be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed that a lot.
Like
I
how do
think.
you bring them in?
Yeah. No, I mean with education, I think like there's a lot of things in regards to education.
Yeah.
It is hard though. Like it's like you can't educate people that don't want to hear it, or they don't care. They're not sorry. They don't care. You know, they just
We
don't
can't
care.
force. Yeah.
But I think what's more powerful is like the people that do care. They can lead by example, and if more people care than the people that don't, then it does become the overpowering, majority, and they have no other choice. So if like us as the receivers of whatever people are giving us, like bad dances or disrespect or whatever, if we don't receive it, if we're like, I'm not taking that from you, then if a lot of people collectively do that, then they're not going to take it anymore, and same like I see this a lot with like culture and music education, like I think like it's really interesting, like our scene is very, very niche because it's a street dance. Like salsa and bachata were born out of street dances. Like it's kind of like equivalent, I guess, to hip hop, where it was created like in New York, on the streets by minorities, right? And it's usually like it's a dance it's a dance for freedom. It's a dance to oppose oppression. So I think what it's turned into is like, I don't know, people just like, it just becomes like another little mainstream thing, and I think it's happened to hip hop too, the street side of it kind of like disappeared a little bit, it got a little bit whitewashed, right? Or a lot of bit whitewashed, and now it's like all this other stuff that it wasn't supposed to or meant to be. So I think salsa and bachata is kind of going through that. And so as cycles come in and OGs leave and new people keep coming in, like people don't remember the stuff, or people were never told the stuff that happened before that, right? So let's say, for example, like if someone were to come into the dancing right now and go to a bachata social, 100% bachata social, and they're gonna look around and be like, oh, this is what bachata is. That's what they're gonna think. That's their standard.
That's gonna be, yeah.
And like, is the standard what bachata really is? Probably not. I was doing this the other day. I was like at a social, 100% bachata social, and I was standing next to someone, and I was like, watch this. I'm gonna tell you exactly when people are gonna do a turn, watch. And it was a bachata song. I don't know what the song was. It was some random song. It was kind of cheesy, to be honest. And I was like, look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, like one of these. 5, like it was just like, watch, everyone's gonna do this right here. Watch everyone. So it's like so predictable. So like they're being educated, like the moves that they're doing is just based off of what people have told them. And then they just keep cycling through. And the whatever like original thing is not there anymore because they've left the scene at that point, right? And it's like who's informing them of these things. And so I think the teachers do have to educate, but of course like not everyone's gonna come to our classes. So it's like, we can just be that, like I just like the person that I am, like person that I am on social media, the person that I am when I talk to my friends and students, like I'm always the same person. And I show up and I talk about these things to them, or I ask people questions. Like I don't mind being devil's advocate for people, be like, oh, like, I have DJ friends in the scene, and I'm like, oh, I'm just curious, like, do you know that song yourself? Like, or did you just play it because it was like on a playlist or something? But like, you know what I mean? Like, this challenge people and ask them. I'm like, oh, like, did you know that step was actually from Dominican Republic, not from Madrid?
The
Madrid step.
The Madrid step, that's one of them.
I cannot, the colonizer step. But yeah, like stuff like that is like people, there's a lot of types of education, but it's like, how do we like get people to even want to, like, we can't control people, right? We can't control people. People just have to choose to give into something or not. And if the majority is doing something, then that's how it's gonna go,
Yeah.
I was working on a post, I just haven't released it, but like pedagogy, because so I have my like I teach kids with learning disorders, learning disabilities, and so I'm very like in really thinking about an individual who, regardless of what psychology they have, what is the right environment that will allow them to learn, right, to grow, and what I've seen across, I've only been working for a few months there, but my theory has been that if you have a good environment and you're able to connect with the individual at a very like authentic and present level, then they have the ability to thrive, right? The main issue with learning has been stress. It's really just stress and emotions, and also the psychology of like, I can't do it, I can't learn.
And self-talk,
The self-talk. And I think that, and I'm coming from a place where, I mean, internally I've always known it, but I also have seen and been in environments where they don't teach that way. They aren't actually conducive to feeling safe and learning. And I had conversations with like people that I didn't agree with, that I didn't like the teaching methods. But it's also just been said, it's like, well, it's what works. This is what you have to do to reach this level of like success. And I think that's a narrative. I think it's fading out, or maybe it's not. But I think it's really important to bring up because it also relates to kind of what I want to talk about, the controlling versus collaborating aspect. So, what do you think in terms of that? And then speaking to the teachers but also to the students who might have experienced this or might have not, but might have heard of the different environments that exist here.
Yeah, I think, there's like a lot of, or there's a whole generation that like thrived off of the sink or swim mentality of like, hey, you got to learn this pattern real quick, otherwise you're not going to be on the team anymore.
You're done. Yeah.
I think there's a few reasons for that. Definitely, like I think back in the day, there was just people were just like at a higher level. I think as a society, as a community, people were just like killing it. Like you go out and it's like everyone looks like they're pro. I feel like that used to be the scene. When I was still coming up, it was like 2014 was when I first started dancing in the art scenes here. And I think, there used to be just higher level of things. So it was really sink or swim. It was like, you just got to learn it, otherwise, like, that's it. And in some scenes, it's still like that. Like in New York, I feel like there's companies that are very like that too. It's like, you want to be on this world-renowned, our favorite word. World-renowned.
What our favorite word. ChatGPT's favorite word, our world-renowned.
World-renowned studio.
I'm like, what?
Like, what does that even mean? No one knows who you are, bro. Like, you walk down the street, no one's going to ask for your picture, man. Like, they think.
Universe renowned.
Universally known. So I think, there's a lot of those teachers that are like the masters and stuff that I think they went through that a lot. And they're like, well, when I was your age, I didn't have PTO and I didn't have
I just had
stuff
to do
that's like
it.
healthy.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's different challenges to different generations. Like maybe like,
of course.
maybe, like we didn't have the same challenges as us, but you didn't have a problem buying a house. So it's like,
different challenges. Yeah.
different challenges for sure. But I do think a lot of those people have like a chip on their shoulder. And so when they see like the new generations, like, Gen Zers are different and millennials are different. And so when stuff that worked with them, that was probably toxic, like to them, and they're not like acknowledging that was toxic. I shouldn't teach my students that way, but they probably do still teach them that way because they're like, you guys are soft, you guys don't know what I went through. But it's like, why would you want to put those people through what you went through? And it's not the same. It's not the same. So, I don't know. I do see a lot of those types of that generation of teachers still adopting, and maybe they're trying to push through and do something different, but still they always go back to those ways of teaching and controlling, and being like, like it has to be this way, and you got to learn it, But it's like, I don't know. I think our society's too distracted for that kind of stuff right now. Yeah. Everything's just like, people are just like so much the worst ADHD of all time is right now. We have too many options. We have way too many options, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And also going into like control versus like collaboration, I think one of the biggest things that I've seen is not encouraging your students to go dance at other companies and go take classes with other people. I think that is one of the craziest things. I do have to say it is one of the craziest, like I will speak freely about this. Like, I will say it to anybody. I will also say it to certain people's faces. But, like, if you are telling your students, no, you cannot go dance anywhere else, like, I don't know. Like, let's just like listen to that for like. I just like can't. It's like think about
It's
that.
weird.
Really
It's
think
really
about
weird.
that. No, you can't go dance with other people. You can only dance my style, and you can only dance what I'm teaching you. You don't want your like. First of all, speaks to your character, in my opinion. Right. Second of all, I think it showcases obviously control, but like in your head, like you don't want your student to go get better for themselves. Like how awesome that you just get to be a part of that person's dance journey. You should just be grateful that you're even a part of it. Yeah. You know, like I think it's so wild to me because there's so much that we can learn from everybody. I mean, shit, I go take classes from multiple people, like, because I think you can learn so much from like everybody, right? Yeah. And I just think that control part of it of you can't go dance here, you can't go dance there, you can only dance here. Like that's what I see a lot. And even in maybe some like subliminal ways it's getting,
like
maybe
covert.
they're not directly being like, you can't go dance. I know
They'll,
some
like,
people are,
They'll
but
be like,
there's retaliation, yeah, or there's
like
like
that.
looks, or there's like, oh, you're gonna
I'm not
dance.
gonna give you opportunities now because you went to someone else's workshop. Like, yeah, definitely.
Or oh, you can't be an assistant to me if you go and dance with another company. I've heard that one before. One of my girls actually got told that she had to quit I Fuego dance company if she wanted to assist somewhere else. And I'm just like, how does it affect seriously, how does it affect you? I don't know. That's the biggest thing that I see, and I know it exists in not only our community.
Well, I know that, like, I know, like, I heard about this, and I was, because, you know, Liz mentioned it to me, and I was like, there's no way, like, in the moment, I was like, heated. I was like,
right?
heated,
It makes
like,
you be like, what the heck?
And then, but also for me, it also falls down to, like, the students who take it. And I'm just like, why would you even say yes, all right? Like,
complacent.
Yeah.
It's complicity.
And it comes into it's that power dynamic where, like, I'm just gonna stick it out because I know that they're established and they're gonna hook it up, you know, like.
And this figure of authority is telling me what I should do. Most people in that position are gonna listen to the figure of authority because they make it feel like there's like some like this pressure, right? They make it feel like what you're doing is wrong, when in reality someone is just trying to venture out and probably learn more about their style or their expression or their creativity, you know? People aren't going to be creative if they stay in the same spot learning the same moves over and over again.
Exactly, and I think that, like, when I hear about that, it reminds me of even when I was in my previous dance company. Doesn't exist anymore, but the directors would not go out to dance to other venues.
Yeah, that's
and so like I would, and it was so weird because it would piss me off how it was like very subtle. Like I would send the group chat, like, hey guys, I'm gonna go do this. Let's all go as a group, like, you know, and nobody would respond. Not the directors were not like, and maybe like a few of them which were like usually known to be just chill, like two people would come out, but like the rest of them were just, you know, nothing. And I know that it had to do with also with like the competition, like, you know, like they had their beef or whatever, which I have no, you know, whatever, doesn't matter to me. But to me, I think about how, there's a reason why I don't like. There's a reason why our team aren't the best social dancers. Yeah. You know, there's a reason why that's the case, because they don't come out to dance, and that's because the culture in this company is that it's mainly performance, and we're only dancing when we're throwing our events. You know, so yeah, I think that for me, I really think about that, and I know that it's not only Arizona, it's only San Diego.
Yeah, no, everywhere. It's just, it's control. It's like people love to have control over the money, over oh, don't give that event your money. Like, you should only be at my events giving me money, right? Like, it's, oh, you can't take those classes because why? You're afraid that they're gonna like leave you, I'm sorry, but if you're afraid that they're gonna leave you, then you should probably be doing some inside like introspection, like look, right? Because like they're leaving you for a reason, and if you're really concerned about that, like maybe you should be scared of your own self. I don't know. The control, I do have to say, is wild, and the way that it happens in such like subliminal little ways is crazy. And I do have to say that, you know, a lot of like beginner dancers might start somewhere and that becomes their norm. Where you start, it becomes your norm if you don't venture out, right? But if those people aren't letting you venture out and they're making you feel like this is all you need here, how are they ever gonna know? And then they're gonna go to socials and try to dance with somebody else and be like, I don't understand this at all. We've all danced. Everybody has, like, you can tell company styles when you dance with people that dance there for a long time. That's all, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. That obviously is going to happen, but I think it just showcases, like, if you stay where you are, you're never gonna expand on your skill set, on your style, like on any of that too. And yeah, it's just like power hungry, control hungry, that I think is in multiple different dimensions and scenarios, right? But I have noticed that a little bit more here in San Diego, especially like, you dance with them, or, oh, you shouldn't dance with them. Like, I have noticed, and I think that causes a lot of division too. Like, how are we a community when it's like, oh my gosh, that team, oh my gosh, that, like, oh my God, like, shut up, who cares? Literally, I want to tell everybody, shut up, like, shut up, who cares? Like, just dance and have fun with it. Dance where you want to dance with. Go where you feel like it's authentically good for you, where you connect. You should be connecting with your instructor as well, you know, like, yeah, it's a lot to it, obviously, but yeah, the control goes crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like manipulation. I think sometimes a lot of those companies will also just take your time, like in other ways too. Like, they just always want you there. So like, how could you be you know fresh and nimble for social dancing when like they're taking all your time? They're like, oh, you got to come to this practice, you kind of come to this, come to that, and they isolate you. They isolate you so much that you become like just them, and that's it. And it's like you're a face for them, and you don't have, you know, a connection with the rest of the community. You know, like, and I've been on that boat for sure. I felt like they would, like, people would call me like, oh, you're this girl, you know, like, of the company and whatever. But I'm like, no, but I like to go to other socials or something. Or if you ever try to go to a different social, they're like, why are you over here on this side of the turf? You know, like,
on this side.
And I would constantly try to like push that boundary, and definitely like that company retaliated against me hella, like, all the time. Very salty, and they just couldn't handle it, you know. But yeah, everyone around me was like drinking the Kool-Aid, as I say. Like, everyone was drinking the Kool-Aid for sure. And you know, like, at one point I could also drink the Kool-Aid, but not to the point where like it overcomes my whole entire life. You know, you can be passionate and you can be appreciative of like the art and stuff that you're learning that you really like, but I think it's like so much more important to connect with the community and be a part of it, no matter. And if someone is trying to tell you in covert ways that that's not okay, then like that's a big red flag, right? Like, it's like, ooh, I don't like this, you know, and you start kind of pushing away. But yeah, definitely San Diego be like that.
Yeah, I mean, even yeah, I mean, I went to some dances, and I could immediately, I think there's different socials where I could like immediately feel like the tribalism, and in a way where I'm the new guy, people don't know me, and you know, like, you get a sense of like people are staring at you to see whether they're betting you.
Oh, 100%,
you know?
yeah.
And I know that that's happening, but there were definitely some socials where it was completely obvious to me, and then I also feel like, you know, the competitiveness from the guys, which has always existed and I've always been very familiar with, just in general in life. But like, there's some culture, the companies bring culture, and so like you feel that culture in the dance, in the social dance, and to me it's like I just became uncomfortable going to certain places and I just don't go. Yeah, but you know, to me, I would go home and I'd be like, yeah, there were some awesome people that I connected with. And then there'll also be some moments where I'm like, oh, I didn't really like that, you know. I don't know if I want to go to a place where I feel this way.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I've heard that comment. Like, actually, I had a friend from Colombia come, and she was telling me that at a certain social, like I had invited her to a social that was a different place that I like to go, and she was like, yeah, last time I came to San Diego, like I came, and she's so cute. She brings an instrument. In Latin culture, it's really common to bring instruments to just anywhere. To church, you literally bring it to church, and you have them in your car, and you bring them and you play it, you know. So she brought a güiro, like the little scratchy ra 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 ra, because she plays it like a badass, you know. And so, and she had brought it to that social, and she was killing it, and blah, blah, blah. And then that's when she was telling me, she's like, oh, you know, like I didn't have this experience, like at this different social when I went to the first social I ever went to in San Diego. I felt like I brought my little instrument and people were looking at me weird, and I felt like everyone was just watching me dance to see how good I really was at social dancing or not. And she just says weird vibes, you know. It's like that energy that you get from people of like if they feel welcoming or if they celebrating you, you know, like it's 100% okay to watch people social dancing, but how are they watching you? Are they like, you know, or are they, yeah, you know, like there's a difference between the people around. Are they celebrating the individuals around, or are they like creating this downward energy of like, I don't know who this person is, why they bring the instrument.
Judgment, yeah.
Like, I don't know if I like how they step. You know?
No, literally.
Sus pisadas.
Literally.
Yeah, people get judged.
I mean, yeah, I think I just remember at one point I had a like I asked this girl to dance, and I don't dance sensual. And I think this also for me. I went home like I think I just gotta learn some sensual.
Sometimes, you know.
I
Yeah, you know.
I'm not
There's
gonna
some
play
good
my
ones in
sense.
there.
Yeah, I think I gotta. I told my wife I just gotta get a little more wavy.
Yeah, a little more wavy. but
You just gotta do this.
You just gotta be comfortable with it.
And then over here. And then both.
There we go. And a little bit.
And a little bit.
Mini lesson. Right now, let's go. Let's go.
I know. I might have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
There you go. Yeah. But then I knew, like, she said, not bachata. Like, I asked her to dance, and she said, no, not bachata. And then she went, like, right away. And then I saw her, it was just, like, all sensual. And I was like, damn, okay, like, she literally said no to me because I don't dance sensual. And then I was.
I never thought of that. A girl asking. She asked you.
Well, I asked her. She just said no, not bachata, and
Not bachata.
not bachata. Like I said, not bachata with me.
Oh.
Right? And then I was like, okay, but I've danced salsa and I even danced bachata with her before. But I'm like, oh, okay, so she likes my salsa, but not my bachata. And then that's where I was like, oh, that's interesting. But you know, and that's where it was in those socials. It's like the same groups of people that I just don't know. They don't branch out. I don't see them anywhere else. And it's that culture that that's there. That's very you're just being vetted. I think being vetted.
Yeah. It feels competitive. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels judgy.
Yeah.
It feels divided. Yeah. It's
like I'm out
if you
there,
don't
like,
if you don't do these moves, like
Yeah.
okay. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to dance out here.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like I'm there by myself trying to battle through and, you know, get some dances in. And so it feels like sometimes it would feel like, so that's what, you know, I don't go to specific socials anymore. But yeah, I think another thing I think bridging on that, the point of controlling versus collaboration. I mean, I think it's important to even think about, I think we're having this conversation about authenticity. I think it's also important just to, as a person who is being taught, it's like consider what dynamics you're entering into. You know?
Yeah.
What like the red flags of like, you got to be aware of the red flags of, and you got to know what contract you're signing.
Yeah.
And the contracts you're signing often aren't in print. You know, like they're gonna be the subtle, like the looks, like you said, or the little. You know,
the little comments,
Yeah.
the little,
and they throw it they just throw it in a way that's indirect and you can't catch it in the moment. Like, what are you telling me?
People gotta be aware, people gotta be aware. We have to be aware out here. And like, you know, like I think Also, like AC mentioned in the panel yesterday too, I loved it. She was like the green flags, yellow flags, red flags, and knowing what those are, right? In all different aspects. Social dancing, in a teacher or a company that you're about to maybe thinking about joining. Like, go. Yes, go, like, that's why I'm like, go take classes everywhere, because yes, there's gonna be styles that you might not specifically 100% like, you know, there could be a certain teaching style that you're like, oh, you know, not 100% for me. I know for me, like, I have a certain learning style, and so I'm gonna gravitate towards teachers that really, like, use my strengths, you know. I've had teachers gone to classes where I'm like, wow, this was a great class, but just not for me, and that's okay too. But I think that, oh my gosh, sorry, my pants got stuck. But I was saying that I think that, you know, like you can go try everything out, like go to these different places, go to the different like classes, and you have to like. Yeah, like trying everything out, basically.
Yeah, I'll also add that I think that the controlling comes from, like you mentioned, competitive mindset, and I think that that I love how we're having this conversation and we agree that the collaborative approach is better in the sense that it's better for everybody. It's a win-win for everybody, you know. Because we're growing as a community, not as like a company, or as an individual. You know, it's like.
There's room for everybody to grow. So.
Yeah. And I think that the community is going to get bigger. You know, I think the community will continue to grow, and I think that if you feel like you know you have to be controlling, it's not going to work out. You know, people get tired. People are going to branch out. But you know, as in terms of like opportunity, I think that everybody can bring their own thing to the table. I think that there should be more events, more more social dances. I think that that it's much needed. I think that's the main point that I want to say, because people are looking for what you want, what you're giving. You know who you are. If you have something to give, people will most likely want it. The community is only growing. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that.
And world peace.
And world peace. Yeah, no, I agree. I think the community is growing. I think for me too, like I've always been a big collaborator. Like I have no issue working with, you know, like a lot of different people. I mean, clearly I now teach all my classes out of like a flow, you know. I really like immerse myself in like AC's company, and I think that like that's a really important thing too, because I'm not just gonna be like, oh, like Fuego is #1 and we're controlling like, oh my God, no. I think that you can help like grow each other. Like we do all fish out of the same pond. We do have a very big pond here in San Diego. We're very lucky, I do have to say. But we still all fish out of the same pond, and we do got a lot of companies up here in San Diego, like up here, I don't know where we are, up in here. We do have a lot of companies here in San Diego, so I do think that like, also, like as leaders, like to showcase that we can collaborate is really important for the community, to have community events where everybody can talk and it is a safe space for everybody. I think that goes into like collaboration too, and is just really important and really needed, because like you say, like the community really is growing, and it's only going to continue growing, and it's either you get with it or you're going to get left behind. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for what's to come, because I think there's a lot of younger people coming through with their ideas, and they're excited, and you know, we're just always trying to seek that wholesomeness. I think for me is just, I know the people that aren't wholesome at this point, and I can tell in people's energies too. Like, it's really important to understand people's intentions, to understand anything. I think like once you realize people's intentions, then you know what to do with that, you know, and so you seek whatever you want to seek from it. So I don't know, I'm excited to like continue like growing this space and collaborating with more people and stuff too, just to show people too that like when I told Kenna and asked her like if she wanted to come teach here, I'm like, I don't want you to do anything about your label, like of your company, like if anything, I want to encourage people to go to you as well, and other people, you know, if whatever it is that they want. You know, I can't be everything for someone too. Like, it's important to let other people also like be part of the space and like share what you got, you know. So I don't know, if we keep going towards that, I think it'll be better for everybody too.
So power dynamics, let's get into that. I think for me, I love talking.
I love even talking about power dynamics.
Power dynamics.
I think it's funny just because in my life I've just had so many different power dynamics that I just had to like bulldoze, like get off me, you know, like
Get off of me.
Literally.
Even like I think I told my wife, I'm like, I think I finally just hit the last wave of like having to deal with people's like bullshit. Because I come in, and then I'm sharing personally just because like I feel like I come in as a very chill individual, very childlike. I feel like I think I'm kind of like, you know, like I'm excited, you know, I'm excited. You know? I'm here to give. I get excited. I have like my business and things that I like. I'm always wanting to collaborate, but I have so much trust in what I'm doing that, you know, that's where it comes from. You know? I want to give. But I think people often just like, I don't think a lot of people are ready for that kind of energy, and so it becomes like distorted and like it makes them kind of see me as like I'm asking for their help, or like I'm what is it? I don't know, like I'm just this kid.
Like a pushover or something.
Yeah, like I'm a pushover.
People walk all over you.
Yeah, and it's been like in my life where I have to just, you know, there's been so many moments where I've just been like called them out and stuff, and so it's been in my job. It's been and then it was also with like the previous SaaS company I was with. Power dynamics. I love to talk about it just because I love to share my journey and what I've learned, and let's get into it. How is the topic? How do you relate to it?
I'm excited about it.
Why are you excited?
I'm enticed. Well, so you said that like in your last company you challenged the power dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Is that
true?
Well, so like, well, I told the director before I headed out. It's like you know, it's I don't like the way it's going. There's certain things that you need to stop doing, and I would tell the director. At one point, one of them was like, I wanna go join this team, but you know, but he won't let me, and I'm like, fuck him, just go, and then you know, and she was just like, oh, yeah, you have to do that.
Yeah.
But for me, I've always been very like, for a while I was in there, and then towards the end, once I was leaving was when I was like, you know, fuck this, I got my podcast, I did what I wanted to do. I'm just wanting to let them know, you know, where I'm at, and so yeah, let them know. And then
What do you say?
It was just, he was just nodding his head. He was listening. I think I was really it was a very like real moment, you know. But I think there's a lot of things there, you know. There's a lot of things for the individual. So I think it's when you get to have those conversations where you realize how difficult. That I think that's the thing, you know. Like it is a power dynamic, and then them being the person, and then you seeing, I guess this comes from fear, you know, needing to control people. Like it comes from fear, and it's what they've known, it's how they've grown up. It becomes more complicated, but then you also have to realize like, but what is it that I want, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So I just let them know, like, you guys have something great. Like, look at that. Don't forget why you started it. But you know, there's just things that you gotta start doing, and So that's where I was. The next day, you know, it was kind of like, the next day it was kind of more like, oh, you know, like, it wasn't taken as seriously. I felt like it was just more like kind of brushed off. But it's fine. I still let you say.
Your piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like, you know, giving people feedback to something that you like work up the courage to tell somebody and like they don't really take it to heart, or like you don't know if they're sorry. Like they probably are not sorry, or they're not like apologetic for what's happened, or I don't know. I feel like I've had that situation because for me personally, like I don't mind calling people out. Like I never have. But I feel like that's what got me in trouble in that situation, in that power dynamic situation. Like at my one of the place where I worked for the longest, and at a studio in San Diego. Like I think when I challenged the power dynamic was way worse. It became way worse. So I thought like as an adult, you would think, right? As an adult,
You would think.
you would think that when you bring something up,
But
you know, they were always
no.
like, we have open door policy. I'm like, okay, bet, open door policy. I'm gonna be up in your open door and talking about stuff, you know? And so then I started realizing like the things that I was sharing were being turned against me, and just weird stuff. Like people just got into my personal life way too much. And I think, but yeah, I noticed that the more that I shared with them, the worse it got for me. Like they would take things away from me. They'd be like, "Oh, you can't teach here anymore. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this now. Or why'd you do that?" Or they question my loyalty. Or whenever there was a issue, like I was guilty until proven innocent, and I was never proven innocent. So I was just always guilty about something, right? So that dynamic just went on for like a cycle, you know. And I think, yeah, it became like kind of strained, you know, after a while, and then until finally like it was ended and stuff. But yeah, I think what's really sad is that I feel like a lot of those things can be squashed if like they were just to listen back to you, you know. Like I listened to them so much, you know, like I listened to them so much, and when it was time for me to be like, hey, like as someone that like loves your work and like loves it here and stuff, like I want to tell you this so that you can keep improving, you know. But then you have to kind of accept at the end of the day, like they don't want to change. Like they don't think that they're a problem. They don't think they're wrong at all. Like they don't think they're, they have no accountability about anything, right? So it's like, I don't know. And I got comments like I would share something, like I would pour my heart out, and then like he would be or she would be like, "Oh, like you feel better now." Like they're just like, so, I don't know.
Backhanded comments.
It's crazy, and I just like started realizing I'm like I think they're just like narcissists or something. Like I can't get through to them. And I think a lot of that happens in our scene so much. Like, there's a lot of narcissists out there that they don't like. They don't want to resolve things. They don't think they're wrong. They don't take accountability. Even with a lot of the stuff that's been happening in the bigger dance scene, like within the U.S. and international, people sharing stories of assault and like, or even situations of like being controlled by people. Like it just takes those people to come up like on social media to be like, hey, like I'm accountable for this, you know. Like I'm sorry. Like all those people just want to hear that. They just want to hear like that you heard me, and that I want you to know that you hurt me, and like be accountable for it. Like don't brush it off and be like I'm not the problem at all. You know, obviously if it happens to multiple people, and there's a pattern, obviously you're the problem. You know, so I think that happens a lot, and I see it in different ways.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest problem with the power dynamics though, is that like it's the ego that comes in and the lack of accountability, and it's the I will never accept that I was wrong type of mentality that I think exists in a lot of people in our dance community. People love to think that they are like gods, I've come to realize in this community. If you like, too many people are put on a pedestal, which I do have to say, like we
I have to say something about
Yeah,
that.
no, yeah.
I want to throw it in. Like you look at the Instagram comments of the social dances, I just think it's so repetitive where it's just like fire emojis, heart emojis,
Yeah,
and it's like
the best.
Like,
Literally.
I'm like, bro, it's a fucking like vacuum here. It's just like it's just. And that's where it's just the ego, like it's just a feeding of the ego.
You're just
like,
feeding it.
Why are we
feeding
posting?
it.
Are we posting this?
Feeding it.
Yeah, why are we posting this?
Exactly, but that's the thing, right? And I feel like, and that's what we see the most in when it comes to power dynamics. And power dynamics are huge in our dance scene, here in San Diego, but also wide scale, right? Worldwide.
Yeah.
World renowned.
World renowned.
Is it
But
renowned or
I don't even know.
Renowned.
They don't even know. Nobody even knows.
Renowned.
Renowned.
Renowned or
I don't know. But I think that goes into like the power dynamics too, is that like if we continue to boost egos like this and we continue to put people on pedestals and not hold people accountable for their actions, because everyone is human, everybody is going to make mistakes. Like, y'all gotta have that expectation. People make mistakes. Everybody's gonna make mistakes. Some of them are worse than others, let's be honest, right? But everybody is going to make mistakes. And I think that also, like, we have to humanize everybody. Like, there are too many people on pedestals that I think that they know that they're on pedestals, or they know that they have this maybe like big following of fans, or, you know, like whatever they want to call it. And so they will not hold themselves accountable, and they won't let anybody hold them accountable, because in their mind they're like, I'm literally like God, I could do no wrong. Look at all my people that love me though. You can still have a lot of people that love you and make mistakes. You know? Yeah, it's that, and it's combating against narcissism and ego, and like the people in these positions of authority thinking that just because they're in a position of authority means that they can just, like, you know, get away with these things, which is not the case at all. And I think honestly that ties back to normalizing these conversations and talking about these things, because like you ask a lot of people, like, what is a narcissist? A lot of people be like, I don't actually know. You know, like, it's going back to education, like going back to talking about these things, because if we don't, like everything's just going to continue to get swept under the rug. Everything's going to continue to just kind of, we're just like passing over like certain topics, you know, especially when it comes to power dynamics. Like, I feel like that is not talked about enough. And I do have to say, like, also, like, a lot from my own like stuff that I've gone through, or that I, you know, have gone through like recently too, but especially like even the power dynamics of like being a female in this industry, like without a partner. Like, we don't have male partners that we're dancing with. And I do have to say that I have at least had people be like, well, can you come teach a class? Who's your male partner? And I'm like, well, why do I need to have somebody? Like, why can't I just, like, you know, be powerful myself too? So, you know, I think that goes, you know, into a different side of power dynamics as well, but it still is all under the same umbrella. And I think it just comes a lot of ego, and I want to stay up on this pedestal and nobody else can be up here with me type of like energy too, which is hard. And it's hard to even like combat that, 'cause it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like power dynamics, what would you define it as? Because for me, the way I think of it is just like you get stuck in this, you're the authority, I'm the follower kind of thing. And that's basically, and it's defined by control, right?
Yeah.
Like the authority controls the follower, right? Okay. Is there anything else you want to add to that? And then I do want to, we'll go deeper into it.
Yeah, I think I mean, what's making those people feel that way, I think too, like feel that they have the power to do so. I think yeah, like when people get in positions of power, like teaching, or even if they're just like the best social dancer in the room, they can, I know, especially with like the dangers of like guys, for example, of guys like harassing women and stuff too, like they abuse that power, so that there's like also that abuse of power that happens all the time. And it's like not even instructors, it can be just dancers that abuse like the power that they are a lead, or they are guiding someone, or they can put their hand wherever they want, or stuff like that. You know, it's like it all bleeds into all those things too. And that's why it's so important that the leaders of our scene like don't struggle with this, is that so that you can set an example for people. And I believe like if us as instructors like break that down more, and you know, be of the people more, instead of being like, I'm the instructor, you're the students. It's like you have to make sure that you balance that power out for sure, and have checks and balances. Not all your eggs in one basket and stuff too. So I don't know. People gotta speak up.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna add that I think when it comes to this, I see it being more like a lesser form of kind of like a relationship. I think a lot about a relationship where we have in the very like machista culture, it's like the man, the breadwinner, etc. And I feel like also, I mean, even in I think that came into the culture just because that's Latin culture is very much from there. And then I also have to add that even the scene is mostly ran or it's been ran by older people.
Older men. Yeah.
Old men promoters.
Old men. Yeah.
Like, how many women promoters do you know?
Yeah.
It's very rare, actually. Yeah.
You're looking at them right here. Come to a flow club. Bring your girl.
Yeah. So then you just get this this way that same way of operating. And I think if honestly, if I were to picture even like the Congress circus, I guess that's what they would call it, the Congress circus, where we have like this culture of you have to fight to get your spot. You have to really you have to know the people. You have to be very well mannered in terms of how you operate with them, and they have to like you, and they talk amongst each other to see what.
To see,
You gotta kiss ass.
You gotta kiss ass.
You gotta kiss
You gotta
ass.
kiss ass.
And
I ain't kissing nobody's ass.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no. I ain't doing
Don't
it.
invite me then.
Yeah.
I won't kiss you.
I don't want to be there.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm like, that culture to me is like, it's disappeared in my mind where I think, we're bringing something new. But, going, like, even me talking to artists and asking for interviews, like, even that, to me, there was that sense of, like, I have to kiss ass, And it was very interesting to see because, I didn't want to be there. I didn't know like what I wanted to do in terms of people to conversate with, but I knew that was the dynamic that I was playing into, going into there.
Yeah.
I think that like I said, I think there's something new, and we can definitely speak to that. What I think if we think about like a healthy relationship, I think we're moving more towards one where it's not just about equality, like equal. I think it becomes one of co-creation where how do you bring your best self and how do you bring your best self and how can we come together?
Yeah.
What can we bring to the table?
Exactly. Yeah. All of us.
Yeah.
I'm bringing cookies to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
No, I
like the
love
sweets.
that.
We like the sweets.
We like the sweets. I'll bring cake. Yeah.
I mean,
No, I like that. Yeah. I think that's important. Like an important note.
That's so true. Yeah, with Congresses, oh my gosh. I've seen people also like, it's crazy like the perception that they make of themselves to these like organizers and like other artists, like to make them look like they're a certain thing, but in reality like they've only been dancing for a couple years, like it's like charisma trumps a lot of those things, and they don't know what's going on back home. It's just like, yeah, did you know that this guy just like raped a bunch of people and like did this and this, and like then he's over here at your Congress like, let me pick up all your chairs for you.
They're
at
like,
the
what?
end so that I could help you, like win you over, let me shake hands with you real firm and tell you how I loved your show even though I didn't watch it. Like,
No, yeah, and let me.
like,
It's
it's
like,
just
let
a
me
whole
like.
thing,
Yeah.
and people don't even know. Like, those people don't even know what they're doing back home, or like, I don't know. It's really interesting. The whole like, the Congress world, the festival world is like, it's its own little thing for sure. But then when you really look, I think what gets me is like sometimes you see these promoters, you're like, who is this guy to say
Like to
who's
say
the
anything.
lineup?
Yeah.
There's like some random Theo up in there,
Yeah.
like some random
Like,
Theo
yeah, you're
organizing
just like,
it.
really? Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you just wanted to hire your friends and
Yeah,
have
but
a
it's
big
that
old party.
control thing. It's that control thing, right? It's wanting to be in control, wanting to, cater to their needs and their wants, not what the community needs or wants. Yeah.
What are some? What would be some what would be some word of advice? Because I feel like you girls have exited that world, you know. Or what do you say you have exited that world? I don't know.
We're safe here at Flow.
Yeah, no, or like,
You're not allowed to come in here.
I'm pretty sure you managed to carve out your own space and one where you feel comfortable, and you don't have to answer to people in a way like you don't have to do what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm out of it.
What would you say to like people who are in those struggles?
Blink twice if you're hurt, isn't it?
Use the safety signal.
That's a good question, because I think I was thinking about how, you know how it is like when you have a friend that is dating someone that's awful for them, and you tell them so many times like, stop dating them, don't be with them, they hate
like,
you.
but.
Yeah, or they'll even they'll be like, yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm going to.
And then you're like, why are you on a trip to blah blah with this person? But okay,
It was
like,
all inclusive.
I'm here. We already had the tickets back then. But I think like you know, sometimes people just have to learn for themselves too. Like they have to kind of put themselves, because you could tell, you can warn someone all you want, be like, watch out for this person, watch out for that. And it's like, you know, you can say your piece, and maybe some people might listen to you, but for the most part, people don't believe you. I think people don't believe you until they do it for themselves, and they're like, oh, that's what they were talking about, you know. And then after a while, like, you can come and join the light side. You know,
It's here.
it's here. I'm always really accepting, you know, no matter what, I'm here with open arms, you know, and I've been through a lot of the stuff, and even worse than some people, you know, I've been through a lot. So I just want them to know that I'm here for them. If they ever want to talk about it, like, no judgment, like, because I totally understand. And I don't know, I think just like sometimes you feel stuck in those places, because I think the other thing is that for me, like, I could have left those spaces, definitely. Like, it's not like I'm dumb, you know, like I can recognize when something is weird. But sometimes you just have so much invested in that community or in that like company that you don't want to leave. Or let's say there's a lot of good parts of it, you know, like at that one company that I worked for, like I really enjoyed the people that were there. I enjoyed my students. I created relationships with those. It was more than just those two people that I wasn't vibing with. It was like there was a community that like almost they created something that was bigger than themselves, you know, like, and that was what was hard to unattach from. It was hard to like to tell myself that like, hey, I have to go. I have to like start anew somewhere else, you know. So, and it's still difficult. It hasn't even been that long. I think it's only been like a year, over a year. So much has happened in a year. It's been over a year since I've been there, and you know, still to this day, like people will come up to me and be like, "What happened? Like, what's going on?" You know. And so, it's hard. It's hard to transition. It's like you're almost like shedding a layer, or like it's an identity that you had for a while, that you have to completely shed and go into something else. So there's like no pretty way to say it either, you know. So I don't blame those people for wanting to stay in the complacency either, because it's like, you know, it's hard. It's really hard to, like, I've had to go through a lot to like shed that layer. Like, it's like identity crisis in a way. It's like you're so attached to that, and it's like, now how do you feel when you see those people? How do you feel like when they're everywhere? How do you feel like when they do anything? It's like, ugh, like I have to like blocked, deleted, bye. Right? But yeah, for those people, like, there's no shame in those things. Like, I'll be really real with people too, and I'll tell them my how I feel about things and stuff too. And again, like, anywhere that you're stuck at, like there might be some really good parts, the reason why you're staying, you know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say too, like, it is really hard. Like, I've been in situations as well where I didn't leave because of the students. I didn't leave because of, X, Y, and Z, when I definitely like could have. But that's, obviously easier said than done. But I do have to say that, like, after like coming out with my own company and like creating a space that I truly feel like is safe and one that reflects my values and one that I would want to be a part of if I was a student versus some other ones that I've been a part of, I think that it just has showed me that it's very, very important, like, to stay true to yourself, and it is very, very important to use your voice and speak up, especially when you feel like something is wrong. I think my biggest thing is, if you are uncomfortable, it's not okay. It doesn't matter what it is. If it makes you uncomfortable, it's not okay, right? In whatever dimension like that is in. I think that yes, it's really hard to leave spaces too, but I think just being like aware of the space that you're in, like just start to recognize and like, you know, like I I keep going on like AC's flags, but because I think that is like such a good thing. It's like maybe like sit back and write down the green flags, yellow flags, and red flags of the space that you're in and see if that if that really represents somewhere that you want to be, right? But yeah, I think I would just say like, you know, speak your mind. Don't ever be afraid to speak your mind because like, why not? Like everyone needs to start using their voice. I think staying authentic to yourself, going back on that is super important. You know, knowing your needs and wants and not settling for like less than that. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we do it for the plot, you know.
Sometimes we do it for the plot, but you gotta stop doing
We
it
see
for
the red
plot.
flag, we're like,
No. Yeah, but yeah, I would just, it's definitely super hard. Like, you know, AC and I have been through a lot of different like shit throughout our years of dancing, and it's not like we're still gonna go through shit, right? Like we still are. We have our own places now, and we still go through stuff, right? It's just part of being in a community, but I think that's why like even more like we can be doing so much better for our community, and I think that's why we need to be doing better for our community so that other people aren't stuck in these, you know, situations like that either. You know, I want everyone to feel encouraged and empowered to use their voice and not stay in a space that doesn't resonate with them. Right. Yeah.
Okay, I think the last I think question would kind of be like, what would be something that, well, it kind of goes in line with like what it means to be a leader, but what can people do now to further the community?
To further develop them.
Yeah, further develop it.
Nurture it. Nurture. I think really like the more that you are yourself, as long as who you are is not an awful person. But babe, that's helpful. That's helpful because if you're an awful person, please let me know. Because I mean, I'll probably already know, but but it's like the more that you are yourself, and like the more you find confidence, which I think you find confidence by learning yourself and going to class. Come to Well Flow, guys. By going to class, encouraging people to learn, encouraging people to do positive things. When you hear someone's going to the gym, when you hear someone's doing something good for themselves, like celebrate it, you know, like let's be kind to one another and celebrate people for who they are. Like don't make them something that they don't want to be, you know. Like find people's strengths and celebrate them. I think that's and you have to find those strengths within yourself to know them, of course, so that people can celebrate them. But if you can never like know what your strengths are, like how can someone else celebrate them either, you know? So I think the best thing that you can do is like work on yourself and your kindness and your empathy and your originality, like, and that's what contributes the most to scenes. If you think about like historically, like in street dance scenes, like it's always like Pete, quick feet, like Stevenson, like I don't know. Like he was the guy, like he caused a lot of inspiration. You know, I don't know who this guy is, but as an example, you know, like you never know who you can inspire, and so that's why it's so important for you to find that yourself. And inspiration is the best form of like unity. I think like when someone's really inspired by someone, it's like people will show up. They're like, have you seen Pete Quick Feet? What's his name? Stevenson. We gotta go watch him dance. You know, or like. Like anyone can be an inspiration for that, so it's important.
Yeah. I think nurturing your community is super important. I think that also going back into like educating yourself, going back into being authentic. You know, as leaders, we can educate ourselves in multiple different ways. As like social dancers, we can educate ourselves in multiple different ways. Go to different classes, go to different companies, you know, test everything out. And I think just staying true to yourself and nurturing your community, showing up. You have to show up for your community. You know, you have to be an active member in a community. It's not, I said this at Rooted in Respect, but being in a community is not just a role, right? It's not just a title. You have to be like an active member, which means that you have to show up. You have to show up when it's easy, but you also have to show up when it's hard. So I think that showing up also when it's hard is a really big thing. And I would also say too, I think one of the biggest things we can do as a community is start to steer over into a see something, say something culture. I do truly think that staying silent, a lot of people think that it's, again, staying neutral, but staying silent when you know harm is happening or when you know something's not right is just complicity, and we have to steer away from complicity. If I'm being honest, I think that's really one of the main things that's going to help change the community. Speaking up, you got to speak up for others, because sometimes it is hard for someone to find their voice, or someone might not have their voice yet, but if you see something that's wrong, say something, and I think that also provides a lot of unity as well, because we all should listen to each other, we all should respect each other, and yeah.
And world peace.
And world peace. World renowned.
World renowned peace.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you want to give your Instagram and just your info where people can find you?
Yes.
Yeah, mine is Ana Cristina, AnaCristina-Ram. That's it, or Ed Flow Dance Studio.
And my Instagram is Kenna New, N-E-W, like brand new. Or you can also find me at iFuego Dance Company, iFuego Dance CO on Instagram. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Too.
Yes, this
You're
was
the
awesome.
best.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I had a good time.
Yes, me too. We love these conversations.
Yeah, probably definitely have more.